I did it then, now I wouldn't do it. It was something I don't want to change my name anymore.
Clarification?
Wow. Yes, clarification.
At least in 2019, she was holding a position, which in my view, think was a very good position. For her to say, maybe she signed because she was not a CEO then, I think she's taking this committee for granted, and maybe she may think that we are full, but in my view, she cannot deny, even someone of senior 4, read and then sign. So for her saying, because she wasn't a CEO that time, that's why she signed that document, I don't understand her by saying that. If you go back to her CV, you will realize that she was holding a very good position then, unless if she's telling us that even the other one was a lie.
Actually, even for further emphasis, okay, you might not have been CEO of Uganda Airlines at the time, but before this date, you had been, if you told us lies in your CV. Can I have a country manager? Yeah, country manager is, you're the top boss within the country, at least. You are a decision maker. Okay, let's not pettifog over trivialities. What's important is you did this with a sound mind. You were a responsible person in society. You had held, fairly serious positions. So it cannot be that you were young and naive, because that's what you seem to want to insinuate. I was not CEO by then, and that kind of thing. Let's do this. Of course, we are entering this in our record. Good enough, you have admitted. You know this document, and then we'll see how we pick it up from there. Because when there's so many things that are not adding up, you're saying you're so and so, and yet it doesn't seem to be the case. We'll determine how we deal with this issue, because these are just too many lies for us to handle. It's confusing. It's confusing. Honorable again, then the Vice.
You earlier before to change your name. And then 2, when you realize you needed not to change your name, what's happened? Because according to your statement, it's not flowing. And the fact of the matter is that I think you accepted the truth that the document in front of us is a legal document. The fact that it has been registered already with the Uganda Registration Service Bureau, that means it is a legal document. So I think it would be prudent enough for you to be factual enough before the committee. You don't need to lie.
Okay, point of procedure.
Chair, and I don't think it's procedure right for colleagues to continue asking questions related to a matter that you've already passed the ruling.
Okay, Honorable Naomi.
Thank you. Into her personal life. In life, we all pass through. We don't know. Others marry, others divorce, others remarry. That she changed her name is her personal decision. Here we are only interested in the names she used on her certificates, the names she applied the job for, and the names she's using now. And she's still Bamturaki according to her certificates. I think we better dwell on her other things other than her personal life.
You see, when you hold a public office, a lot of things changes. Honorable Naomi knows very well that her voters can do anything to her, regardless of her status. So holding a public office, you can't say that this is personal or what. In my view, I think Honorable Naomi is taking us somewhere. But Chair,
okay, let me first,
Chair,
Honorable Pindi. There are certain expectations of you. Okay, the other day we were discussing the salaries of these people. A salary is supposed to be a private affair. Honorables, I am personally not bothered about the reason why she would change her name. It's okay, yeah? Our only challenge is consistency, not adding up. That's the challenge, because if you swear an affidavit, if you register a deed poll, importantly, you're not going by that. Even, legally speaking, you are a different person. So it raises questions of integrity, changing the name. I don't care what the reason is. Legally speaking, today I can wake up, it's my decision, yeah? But you see, going forward, I cannot then refer to myself as Joel Ssenyonyi, because legally I am now Marvin. So that's the issue altogether, yeah. And that's what we are trying to. People change their names, and it's all right. The reason is none of our business. It could have been convenience, could have been, or I don't know. I don't care. My concern is that now the name has changed, but going forward you're not using it. What to us as a committee? Our concerns are issues of procedure, not personal issues. That's why I have objected to those asking her, why did you change your...
Actually, just like a piece of advice to Madam Jennifer, I think it is just courteous for you to realize that, yes, I made a mistake, and at this point I made a mistake. This is just a one-pager. It was just a one-pager. So easy to read through. Just last week, I was applying for a visa for my daughter, and I was asked to do an affidavit. And trust me, the lawyer made a mistake. Instead of saying that my husband is the father, he wrote mother. And that makes a big difference. I had to take back the document for him to correct before appending my signature. You know what it means to append your signature on a document as big as that? It speaks volumes. And I think it reaches a point where you don't need to argue much. Just say, at this point, I made a mistake, I never read through the document, and I asked to be excused on that. It doesn't take away anything from you. That's for me what I wanted to add. Thank you.
I think we are a very laissez-faire country. I pity anyone who thinks someone should be one person and a different person at one time. If we made this report about Bamuturachi, and she wants to challenge it tomorrow, when actually she's registered as in her previous names, she would defeat us. It is only important that if you're a public officer, you are known by who you are, so that whatever recommendations and whatever action you take in the interest of the public, you are personally held accountable to them. So no one, in my view, before we proceed with her, we should ascertain who she is legally. Otherwise, we could be here dealing with someone we cannot stand tomorrow to confirm that this is the person. These are legal matters.
And by the way, MPs, for example, who have lost their seats because of change of name, that your certificates read different names, and then other documents say other things, then there is a deed poll, those that have survived, there are those who present a deed poll like this one in court, and they say, the name on my national ID, the name that is registered on Mosho is saying, tomorrow, Madam Jennifer, I don't know whether now Jennifer Lenkai Arnold or Jennifer Bamturaki could go to court and say, but that is not who I am. So it's important that these issues are settled properly, because it's a legal matter. It's not a personal matter at all. I really want us not to spend so much time on this, because there are several other issues we must be able to tackle. Okay, I'll give each of you just 1 minute. Honorable Mzal.
You asked the question, the CEO, to confirm her true names, and she made that clear, that she's Jennifer Bamturaki. Sorry, I'm Msoga, I don't know. I don't want to spell your name. The other one maybe is Asi. Musime, sorry. So she has confirmed her names. I therefore want to ask Chair that we have so many issues. Let's move forward. That's my humble request, Chair.
Okay, let's do this. you retracted this deed poll. You said that? And
Yes,
remember,
I
you are
did.
on oath.
Yes, I did.
How did you retract it?
I'll have to find, because I have a new lawyer now.
How did
I'll
you
speak-
retract it?
I spoke to my lawyer
Mhm.
to do the process, so I'll follow up with
Do you know if the lawyer did the process?
No, sir, I'm not sure, but I'll find
So
out.
now, Madam Jennifer, do you see the position you're putting us in? Because initially you said you actually retracted. Okay, and now you are saying you instructed the lawyer. You don't know if the lawyer did. And colleagues, you can't just abandon a name. You don't say I've abandoned it. It's a legal process. When you register a name, that becomes your new name. If you want to change it, you register another. Yeah? That's the legal process, colleagues. You can actually change your name 100 times, as long as you go through the legal process. So if you don't go through a legal process, then the most recent registered name is your name. So now Madam is saying, I instructed my lawyer to retract it. Did she follow up? No. Now, do you know why I conclude that this was not retracted? Because it would require her signature. So she doesn't know if the lawyer did it. The lawyer could not have signed on your behalf. So either you are telling us a lie, you never instructed the lawyer, or you were negligent, because this is not a function of just the lawyer. That's why the lawyer didn't sign for you on this document. You signed for yourself. So if there's any new change to happen, you have got to sign it yourself. So you cannot say, I instructed the lawyer. Now I've asked you, did you follow up? You said you don't know. So who knows? Because it's a legal process. It's not a matter of gambling, of, okay, I have abandoned it. You don't just abandon. That's why when you were abandoning Jennifer Musime Bamturaki, you didn't just abandon. You saw an affidavit, you registered a deed poll. So you cannot say, I retracted that. But then, even the retraction process did not happen, because you didn't append your signature anywhere. So how do we proceed with you? Who are we proceeding with? No, it's an issue for her.
We proceed as Jennifer Bamturaki Musime.
What do we do with this deed poll that you swore and registered? I'm asking you, madam, because it's you who signed that deed poll. Give me that deed poll again. Good enough, you admitted it, you signed it. So, what do we do with this deed poll?
The legal process was not concluded, sir.
No, but you see,
The legal process was not concluded. So you're discussing when the legality is not concluded, sir. So I repeat, Jennifer Bamturaki Musime. Thank you.
okay, so that's your response. But we are left with many doubts on our side. But also now, I'm getting bothered about the many seemingly small lies. I retracted it. Okay, how did you retract it? I instructed the lawyer. Did you follow up? No, I did not. Anyway, let's have this on record. We will determine how to deal with it. Because it's very confusing and we are treading a very thin line, because we must be sure we are dealing with the
without
right
even
person.
knowing the source, since she has owned it, is it possible for her to kindly sign?
No, she didn't have to.
Or maybe we just as a sort of a...
Because for me, what's comforting me is she has looked at the document and she has owned the document. It would have been different if she had said, I don't know it. Then we would investigate if she's telling the truth or a lie. But she has owned the document. She has said that's her signature, and it's a legal document. We'll see how we pick it up from there. The other issue I wanted to engage you over, you see, like I'm saying, integrity issues are important. And that's why we are digging up some of these things. Madam Jennifer, do you know a company called Abavata Group?
Yes.
How do you know it?
It was doing advertising for the airline in 2019 for 1 year.
Okay. How was Abavata Group hired?
They followed the procurement process. I am not in the procurement department, so that is something that will be answered by the procurement department, sir.
Okay. Were they? So you're saying they were hired? How many jobs were they hired to do, and what periods? Just clarity on that.
I do not have their documentation now, so I'm unable to give you in concrete documentation on what exactly they were hired to do. But they had a contract, and it stipulates what they had, sir.
Okay. What position were you holding at the time in Uganda Airlines?
Commercial director.
Commercial director. Do you have any connection whatsoever, you to Abavata Group?
No, because I am not on their legal documents.
You have never had any connection whatsoever in any sense at all to Abavata Group?
I don't own it legally or illegally. I do not own Abavata, but I do know because they did work for the airline.
Okay. So just to paint a picture, Abavata Group was hired first. They did the ceremony when the aircrafts were brought in. They were hired to run that event. Is that so?
Yes.
That was the first job that was given to them by Uganda Airlines.
Yes.
Okay, so that's job number one. And then they were also eventually hired to do the branding, marketing, etc., in different countries for Uganda Airlines. Is that so?
Yes.
Okay, so that's two jobs because you were talking about one. Anyway, I'll keep reminding you. It's possible you have forgotten. I am here to remind you. And you have said you had no connection whatsoever to Abavata.
I don't own it, sir.
And you have no connection at all?
Not legally.
Okay, I want to show you a document. This is a contract for construction consultancy services. This is an agreement that was made on the 6th day of September 2019 between Allison Consults Limited and Abavata Group Limited. Do you know about this agreement?
Can I look at it, please?
Just try and refresh your memory before. Okay. This wasn't between Uganda Airlines and Abavata. This was Abavata and another company altogether.
What was it about, sir?
Okay, let me... So are you saying you've never seen this document?
I could have, but I need to know what it was about.
Let me read for you. So, whereas the client wishes to engage the consultant to provide the services described herein, and contractor agrees to provide the services for the compensation and otherwise in accordance with the terms and conditions contained, in consideration of the foregoing and for the good and value consideration, the receipt and sufficiency of which are hereby acknowledged and agreed to, the client and consultant intending to be legally bound agree to the terms set forth below. 1. This contract will become effective for the period beginning 6th September and ending 27th day of September upon the approval of both signatures. Scope of services to be performed by the consultant, Abavata, to include basic topography survey to produce topo maps, hydrogeological survey to site potential underground water sources, farm plan detailing orientation of farm structures, structural drawings of intended farm structures, bill of quantities for the farm structures. Do you remember now? Is it making sense?
A little, yeah.
A little.
I think it has to do with farming. Yeah.
Okay. Were you in any way involved in this agreement?
No, sir, but I was asked to sign it because I was part of the ministry.
Part of the ministry?
A part of the ministry of the owner of the Abavata.
But you said you had no connection. You've never had any connection to Abavata.
Not legally, sir, because you asked if I own it.
I didn't ask if you own it.
What did you ask, sir?
What do you remember me asking?
You asked me if I had anything to do with it. I said I don't own it legally or
I didn't ask you if you owned it.
What did you ask?
That was you responding, saying I don't own it.
Ah, okay. I beg your pardon, sir.
Okay, let me move to the last page of this document, of this agreement, where you signed as a witness. This was executed under seal, signed by Abavata Group in presence of Jennifer Bamuturaki as a witness, and there's a signature. Is this your name and signature? Did you sign that? Just speak on the microphone.
Yes, I did.
You did?
Yes.
Okay, so you signed as a witness of Abavata Group, which you have told me you have never had any connection to. This was before, just a second. This is my document. Don't worry. This was 6th September 2019 and running up to 27th September 2019. Where were you working at the time?
Uganda Airlines.
Uganda Airlines. What position were you holding?
Commercial director.
Commercial director. So, you are here, a witness, in an agreement for a company. Of course, you first said you had no connection, but this establishes connection because nobody just signs as a witness, you know. So this is an agreement. You sign as a witness for this company called Abavata Group. This is the same company that was hired to run the event of the aircrafts being brought into the country. It is the same company that was hired by Uganda Airlines, for which you are commercial director, you were a commercial director, to do branding and marketing and so on in different countries. How do you convince me you were not conflicted? Because now we have established connection. You first said there was no connection. We have now established connection by your admission, because this is your signature. It would have been different if you said this is forged. But you have told me it's your signature and you signed. That's connection. Did you not see any conflict of interest at all?
No.
Chair, clarification, just a simple clarification.
Yes, Honorable.
It's important in that specific regard that the members here tell us who is the user in this specific, the head of department, who is the user, who was the user of this, who originated the procurement.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry for guidance. You see, Mr. Viseroko here when you sign as a witness for the company, you're not just an ordinary witness. No. I've taught this subject for 18 years at that level. The moment they say witness of the company, you are signing as the company. You are either an authorized officer under the memorandum and articles, or resolution, or by delegation. So you are part and parcel of that company. You are not just an ordinary witness that you come and witness for me. No. No. And Mr. Viseroko can testify here. So you are part and parcel of the company. Yes.
Clarification. And then I have a rejoinder question. Who is the user under this arrangement of advertising, marketing Uganda airline abroad? Who was the user? Which head of department was the user department?
That's why you put a seal, a stamp after. So basically, on this, it's not really your wish to say I was not an owner. No. Just answer the issue of conflict.
Okay.
Honorable members, on the issue raised by Honorable Nsibambi about the witness, yes, the level of expertise would be very important and material. Yes, people witness documents, but if you are an advocate, the level is different from an ordinary person who witnesses. So in terms of the degrees of conflict of interest, we have to be fair and say if there is no ownership, you are not a director, but you have witnessed the document of a company because you know somebody.
Counsel,
Chair,
talk
Chair.
as a lawyer. As a lawyer,
Chair.
Yes.
we don't want you. We don't want you,
witness-
counsel. First, wait. We don't want you to just respond as a layman. Counsel Nsibambi was asking a question in regards to the law. Now, as a lawyer and the company secretary and the former registrar, you know what we are doing? We are helping this country. So, as a lawyer, a technical in that field, what would you guide? What is your advice?
Yes, honorable members, which is a fact. It has been confirmed. But she was not a director.
She was not?
She was not a lawyer.
Okay.
So the level of
I think
knowledge.
I want to first engage Jennifer, because Mr. Bisereko, you either don't know about this issue and you're now trying to act as a lawyer for her. So maybe let her speak for herself.
Chair, that issue first, I kind of beg. They tell us who is the user department.
In this matter, commercial.
Commercial.
Which was your department?
I was the commercial director, yes.
So you originated the procurement and got the company,
No,
and you settled as a witness for the company to do the work.
no.
No, actually, the witnessing, Honorable, the witnessing was for a different contract. I was using that to establish connection, to show that in one way or another, Jennifer is part of that company, which she was denying earlier on.
No.
But then, well, you can say no, but you have admitted you signed as a witness for a contract with another company. Okay? As far as we are concerned, we can now begin to establish what you being part of it would mean. Either you are a partner, maybe a silent partner, maybe you have relations with some of the partners, they're your relatives or whatever. Maybe that's what you need to come clean about, because you can't just sign as a witness. You know, somebody cannot just find you on the street and say, hey, I'm going to, execute a contract with some people. Just help me sign here as a witness. And you write your name and signature. It doesn't just happen.
No, it doesn't. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be part of the ministry, which is a church ministry, of the owner of Abavata.
Okay.
And I was working there as voluntarily in operations. So on matters that concerned some of the document like this for construction, he would ask me to witness. But I'm not an owner, neither am I a director, sir.
Okay,
Chair.
so now we have established what the connection was. And what that means is, when Abavata was hired by Uganda Airlines to do these pieces of work, you knew Abavata.
Yes, I did.
Okay, that's important. And you were a commercial director, and you were the user. Maybe tell us a bit. When Abavata was hired to run the event of bringing the aircraft, how much was Abavata paid?
I don't know, sir, because I wasn't working there. I was working at Golden Tulip. My first day was the day the aircraft came.
Your first day was the day the aircraft came?
Yes, my first day at work. That's the first day of my contract, actually, when you look at it.
The same day when Abavata was running that show?
Yes, that was my first day.
When did you sign your contract?
On the 23rd of April, 2019.
And when did the aircraft come?
23rd, I think.
Of
Ephraim? Was it 23rd? Yeah,
Of when?
23rd of April, 2019.
You're saying you signed your contract on the same day the aircraft came?
Yes, I could have, but that's the day I started.
Yeah, but when did you sign your contract?
We need to check again now that I think about it, but the first day at work was 23rd, my first day at work.
When did you get an appointment letter?
I got it earlier because I was still with Golden Tulip and doing my handover. That's when I got it. But I usually append dates on my documents. It should show what date I signed. I can't recollect. But my first day of work was the 23rd.
Okay, and when Bavata was hired to do the branding and marketing of Uganda Airlines in different parts of the country, how much was the contractual sum?
I don't remember, sir.
But what do you remember, madam? Because you see, you keep saying, I don't remember, then when I eventually remind you like I am going to, you begin to say, but that's not, okay, this is what it was, and so on. I want it to come from you.
I don't remember because it was a big document. I don't remember. I would have to look at the contract to recollect.
Do you remember ever telling your boss, the CEO, about Abavata potentially being, a good company to do this work of marketing Uganda Airlines in different parts of the country?
Yes, I do.
Okay, what did you tell your boss, the CEO?
Well, I told them they had handled. It was a long email. I told them they had I told him they had handled. They had handled aviation before airlines. They had handled ET, Ethiopian Airlines, and I was explaining why he should not just terminate the contract, but should do it legally. At the time, the email you're referring to, it was.
I'm not referring you. You're the one telling me.
Yes.
I'm yet to bring out what I have, so you tell me what you want to tell me.
Yes, what I want to tell you is exactly what you have. Yeah.
So you know what I have?
Yeah, absolutely. I know what you have.
Okay, keep going.
Yeah. How did I get to know Abavata? When I was working at Golden Tulip, the CEO wanted, at the time, there was still a task force, and they wanted a company that would do events for the coming of the aircraft. So I said to him, I know a company, but I wasn't working in the airline at the time. So I referred him to Abavata. So they had their meetings. In fact, Ephraim was at the time on the task force. And so they invited him to come to the airline and present, but this was before the aircraft came. So the first meeting I wasn't there. No, the first meeting I was because Colonel Malaya wanted me to introduce Abavata to them. But then the consequent meetings I wasn't. I think I was on one last meeting where they were presenting the artwork and all. And Cornwell was very clear that I can only sign artwork since I am not mandated to sign the financial figures as I haven't joined yet. But the artwork was insignificant. So yes, that's what I remember.
So at that point, they were hired for what job specifically?
That was the arrival
of the aircraft.
Yes.
Okay, so giving the contract to Abavata to run the branding in different parts of the country, you were now fully staffed as commercial director at Uganda Airlines.
Yes, sir. But there's a process to how these contracts are awarded. It's not the contract manager that awards. The process of PBDA is well known. There's a procurement process that happens, where it's either a direct bidding, depending on the time frame and the justification, or you do an RFP, or you do the advertising. I'm paraphrasing, but because of the time frame that we heard.
Were those PPDA regulations followed in hiring Abavata at that time when you were commercial director?
I believe so, sir, because my part was to do the terms of reference, those are the TORs, and pass them on to the procurement manager at the time, which I did, and then he did the process with his department.
Clarification, Chair.
Okay, so you were saying that because at the time there's something you were trying to explain.
Oh yes, what I was trying to explain was when I joined in April, the 23rd, we were supposed to start flights in June. So we needed, I remember Cornwell mentioning that we needed to have someone who would do the advertising and the branding. But he says to me, please do it properly. And because I was coming from a private entity, he said, with government, it is done differently. So he asked me to go to the procurement gentleman and have him give me the processes. And he also requested that give him your timelines, let him understand what is at stake and how the different time structures that are in between a procurement process play out. And that's exactly what I did. I went and met the procurement manager. So when I gave him the timelines, at the time we were supposed to start in June, although the flights delayed and we started in August. But yeah, basically that's what happened. So the procurement process wasn't done by me, sir. The awarding wasn't done by me. And that is part of the procurement.
What I'm asking you as somebody that was senior at Uganda Airlines as commercial director, the end user, in hiring a Bavata, were the procurement regulations followed?
I want to believe so because it wasn't I who handled it, sir.
Chair, some
the
information.
contract manager is not involved in the procurement. What happens is you give the terms of reference, the TORs, and the procurement department moves with it.
Sure.
You're only brought at a time when you're doing the evaluation.
Do you remember having a conversation with your boss
Yes.
regarding the emergency of having to get a Bavata on board, and for that matter, direct procurement was done?
No, that conversation was not for direct procurement, sir.
What was it for?
That conversation I had, remember at the time, Ephraim Bagenda was the CEO. My conversation was with Ephraim Bagenda because at the time the airline was having bad press and they were talking of bombardiers having rats and tuk-tuks. So Ephraim says to me, Jenny, I want you to manage that narrative. So I say to Ephraim, we do not have a procurement, we don't have an advertising agency, we don't even have a procurement process that in place. So Ephraim says to me, manage it. So I say to him that the only way we can manage this is if we go back to a Bavata because they've done work for us already. So maybe that would be easier. So it was at that point that we requested a Bavata to come and help us manage the PR between the time when we were being told about bombardiers having rats.
How much was the Bavata paid?
Sir, I don't know.
You are the commercial director.
I don't
You're
know,
the one
sir.
in charge of the monies.
No, I don't know.
Okay, but what you seem
Chair.
to say there, you requested a Bavata to come on board. There was no procurement followed.
I can't recall, but what I know
No,
is
you have just told us
I requested
that
them
you
to come
requested a Bavata
to come and
to
support.
come and do this
Yes.
work, and they were paid.
I don't.
Chair, Chair,
I don't
Chair,
know.
just a second, clarification, Chair.
Honorable Chair.
There are two
Okay,
things.
let me
Chair.
come, members. Honorable Chimosho, then I'll come.
Two
I'm going
things,
to come.
I'm not as the user.
Mm.
Then she was the contracts manager, if I'm not mistaken, unless they do it differently. If you're the contracts manager, you actually keep a copy of the contract, because then you keep referring on the terms in the contract to make sure that the contract is implemented according to the plan. And then you cannot tell anyone that you don't know the cost of the procurement. That is one. Two, the issue of who awarded, that is, of course, the procurement work. But the practice is, and she may want to clarify, that the user the head of department, will either participate in the evaluation or appoint. And where they are conflicted or they have a relationship, you declare conflict of interest, like it would apply on contracts committee or elsewhere. So maybe she would need to take us through. One, I think she knows the price or the cost of that contract. Two, whether she declared at evaluation, and if she did not, how she would want to be believed that she had no conflict of interest.
Sir, yes, that's the process. You're the contract manager, but I was not even involved in the evaluation. And in fact, if you look at the file, I didn't sign. I was not involved. No, I wasn't.
Chair.
Okay,
You must.
let
Sometimes,
me...
you see, when you look at the evaluation, as contracts manager, you can be involved or you cannot be involved. I wasn't part of it. I wasn't part of any evaluation process. So there wasn't even declaration or signing or not signing. I was not part of the...
Do we have people here who are part of that contract committee? Who are here?
Sir, I would have to look at the documents to remember who was, because this is a while ago.
Then,
okay,
Chair.
let me first refresh our memory, then I come to you, Honorable. Because between Uganda Airlines and Abavata, so, the consultant, that is Abavata, shall carry out the services in accordance with the provisions of the contract, and for avoidance of doubt, the consultant shall provide the said services in 7 destinations, that's Entebbe, Nairobi, Dar es Salaam, Mombasa, Bujumbura, Mogadishu, and Juba. That's the marketing, advertising, and so on. The procuring and disposing entity shall pay the consultant, the entity is Uganda Airlines, shall pay the consultant the contract price of US dollars 540,000 or such other sum as may become payable under the provisions of the contract at the times and in the manner prescribed by the contract. So we're talking about a contract worth 540,000 US dollars. That's over 2 billion Uganda shillings. Do you now remember the amount? Because I told you I would remind you. If you don't remember, I'm here to remind you.
No.
You don't remember?
No.
Even after reading this for you?
No.
So this is a contract. You are a commercial director, end user. Mr. Ephraim Bagenda, are you here, sir?
Yes, I am.
You signed this contract as CEO. Do you remember?
So this is such a long time ago, I cannot remember exactly. And we were in the process of starting the airline. There were so many things being done. So I may have signed it. So
Go ahead.
I may have signed it, but I cannot specifically remember if.
Okay, let me request you to come, sir, and look at this signature, and then let me know if it is you who signed or not. Kindly come, sir.
Yes, that's my signature.
Okay, just go and confirm on the microphone on record.
Yes, that's my signature.
It's your signature. Did Uganda Airlines, for which you were CEO at the time,
Yes.
follow the procurement regulations in hiring a Bavata and signing this contract?
To be frank, Mr. Chairman, I cannot remember exactly. There were lots and lots of things being done, and we're in a rush to launch the airline. I can't remember exactly. I have to refresh my memory by reviewing documents or anything like that.
This is a contract that's worth over 2 billion shillings.
Yes, I do appreciate.
In fact, to be exact, my math tells me 2 billion 35,800,000 shillings. So over 2 billion. Also depending on the rate that you use, because they're talking about 540,000 US dollars. And you're saying you do not know if procurement regulations were followed?
Sir, I can only confirm after I have refreshed my mind, because the procurement was being done for us by the Ministry of Works. We did not have a PDU in place.
You're the one who signed the contract, surely. How do you say, for me, I wasn't party to it, they just gave me a document to sign?
No.
Okay, let me ask you another question. Did Madam Jennifer here have a discussion with you regarding Abavata and this contract?
To be frank, Mr. Chairman, I cannot recall exactly. It's a long time ago.
Come again?
It's a long time ago. I cannot recall exactly.
Madam Jennifer, do you remember ever having a discussion with your CEO at the time regarding Abavata vis-a-vis this contract?
Not that contract, sir. The discussion we had, I'll repeat it, was to manage the narrative of bad press. It was never about that contract.
So, of course, to manage bad press, you know, it had to be done within a contractual obligation. Yes or no? You can sign that later, madam.
Yes.
We're not in a hurry.
Yes. Yes.
It is under a contractual obligation.
Yes.
Which is what this contract was signed to do, to manage the bad press and all of that. Yes or no?
Yes, but that contract is bigger than just the bad press.
Okay, it's whatever else, but inclusive thereof is managing the press and so on, the bad press as you call it. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Did you at this time declare any conflict of interest to say, look, you know, I know these people, I know this company, I have some connection to them, I have signed as a witness in other agreements where Abavata is being contracted? Did you declare your conflict of interest at all?
No, because I was not part of the evaluation
You were
process.
the end user.
The end user comes at the end, like you said, end.
No,
You
so
see?
two things, madam. One, you recommended Abavata.
No, I recommended them for the event. By the way, they have two contracts. You don't have the other contract here. They have a contract for the event, specifically to handle the event, arrival of the aircraft. For that contract, I recommended. For the contract of the branding, I did not, because that was a procurement process.
Two things, Madam Jennifer.
before-
Number one, you remember you said they only had one contract. Until I brought out evidence. Just listen. And now you're admitting there were two contracts. The other issue, so you're saying you recommended them to run the event of the aircraft being brought, but also you recommended them regarding bad press going forward. That's what you have said.
Yes.
And that's what led to this contract.
Sir, this contract followed a procurement process.
That's not what I'm asking right now.
The event-
Because we are going to deal with whether
No,
procurement
the event
processes were followed.
had a procurement process. I was not part of the group of Uganda Airlines at the time because I was in a different airline.
So how do you know they followed procurement if you are not part of it?
Because I'm seeing a contract.
No, you're talking about the event.
Yes, there's a contract.
So
There's a
the
contract.
issue is, so you're saying you recommended them
for the
for
event.
the event?
Yes.
And then, after that event, due to the bad press, you recommended them to your CEO to deal with the bad press, and that's what eventually led to this contract.
I don't know whether it led to that, but I know I recommended them for the bad press.
Okay, so you recommended them, eventually they were hired. Did you, at that point of recommending them, declare your conflict of interest?
I recommended them for the event, sir. And at that point, my CEO knew that I knew them. No, you're mixing.
Madam,
things,
let's,
Honorable.
okay, first forget about the event.
Honorable.
Can you first forget about the event?
Yes.
The event has ended. Yes, you
Yes.
recommended them, they
I
ran the
recommended
event.
them for
Now,
PR.
we are talking about after the event. You recommended them for PR. To manage bad press.
Yes.
Which is what is in this contract.
This contract came as a result of the procurement process for a PR and advertising agency.
You notice at this point I'm not even asking you if the procurement regulations were followed, because I'm going to get to that. I'm still at the point of you speaking to your CEO to say, look, we need to manage bad PR, let's get Abavata on board.
It was the other way around. My CEO approached me and said, we have problems, Jennifer, I need you to manage the press.
And so you recommended that Abavata can handle that?
I said, we don't have a procurement process in place for an agency. And right now, the only agency that is already in the books and has handled is Abavata. So he says to me, get them in, clean it up, clean our image. And that's how they came in
Chairman,
for the PR.
Did you declare your conflict of interest?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, they were aware that I knew it.
Just for Ms. Bamtrachi should, what is conflict of interest in your opinion? Maybe when we appreciate that, it will be very easy now to answer a simple question raised by the chairman.
She's asking the lawyer what conflict of interest is. Maybe we should have begun there instead of not giving us a plausible answer. No, she wants to talk. We want her to talk for herself because this is an issue.
He says any performance to the party that is confirming connection to the party that is doing what? Who is being procured?
Okay, so did you declare your connection?
No, to be clear.
Yes, I did.
To be
You did?
clear.
Yes, I did. Yes.
So how did you declare it maybe?
I informed him.
Mr. CEO, did Madam Jennifer here inform you of her conflict of interest, her connection to Abavata?
Sir, with due respect, what you are asking me is such a long time ago.
For her, she remembers.
I cannot remember such a thing.
For her, she remembers. So I don't know why the CEO would say, for me, I don't remember. So in other words, you're denying her having said that.
I'm not denying. I cannot remember whether she told me or not. The reason I'm advancing for
Chair,
that, sir,
procedure chair.
It's such a long time.
Chair, this is an accountability committee, and it is evidence-based. When you say, I declared, it cannot have been a verbal talk between her and the CEO. There is a way how you declare conflict of interest. Now, can they give us a record that actually she declared a conflict of interest in form of a minute or a letter? Because it cannot be a conversation, for heaven's sake.
So, Madam Jennifer, how did you declare your conflict of interest?
Verbally.
Verbally. Now, you're saying you declared verbally. The person you declared verbally to does not remember. What do you mean it's normal? This is a serious issue.
Sir, if he doesn't remember, I cannot begrudge that. He says he doesn't remember.
Counsel, how for a company, now talk to me as counsel for Uganda Airlines. Because these are staff that you give legal advice. Okay? So how do you normally advise them to declare conflict of interest? Just bring it closer.
Honorable Chairman and honorable members, conflict of interest in the procurement process is documented. So there is a form for the contracts committee members when they are handling any matter, any procurement, which every minute which you sign, whether you have conflict or not.
Okay. So did you sign
and
that?
In
Okay.
this process, Honorable Chair, to be fair, like Mr. Bagend is saying, if we can't remember, it is better to give us the documents and see whether that process was complied with. So when she talks
Who to give you documents?
time to look at that procurement file, whether there was compliance with the law.
No. You know why that doesn't make the cut? She has been very clear. She declared verbally. So don't try and force it, because you're going to leave this place and go and forge the document and backdate it. So I'm not going to accept that, Counsel.
Honorable Chair, that's what I'm saying now. I said that the declaration of conflict of interest is documented.
Okay.
So when she says that she did it verbally, so that is not on record in the file.
Okay, so it was done irregularly. And we have ascertained as end user. So who was the contract manager?
I was?
You were the contract manager.
Yes.
And you did not declare your conflict of interest the right way, by filling that form which he's talking about.
That form he's talking about, you fill when you're on the contracts committee. That's what he meant.
You were the contract manager.
No. Contracts committee is where you fill the...
Madam, you were the contract manager, yes or no? Yes or no?
I was the contract manager. I was not on the contracts committee. The conflict of interest is a document you sign when you're in the contracts committee.
Chair, guidance, Chair.
Mr. Chairman.
I have
Yes,
this law
Honorable
in the
Chimochi.
law. When you look at the functions of the user part,
Chair, I don't think we shall get anything new from her. She has already considered. She didn't declare officially conflict of interest. That is very true. She has clearly accepted it. And she cannot deny that she was the user manager, and for that case, she initiated the contract, and she had to provide technical guidance to the contracts committee, and therefore, Mr. Chair, in the interest of time, we go to another issue.
Honorable Mpindi?
Chair, I wanted to know who constitutes a contract committee. Who are those members that constitute a contract committee of Uganda Airlines? Because my thinking is a contract manager must, unless if they are doing it differently, must be either a member or an ex-official member of the contract committee.
Yeah, sure, Honorable.
the contracts committee is appointed by the accounting officer and sent to the PSST for approval. So it is a standard, by the accounting officer and sent to the PSST for approval and to be appointed as such. But then for evaluation, that is appointed by, I think, the accounting officer. It is the work of the accounting officer that appoints evaluation committees. It is the procurement committee. Yeah.
The issue here that we have established, you as commercial director, somebody that was the contracts manager, and for that matter managed this contract, you had a connection to Abavata, which you have admitted. You did not officially declare that connection, as should have been, and there is every possibility you vouch for Abavata for this contract.
No.
Without, Madam, I don't want you to speak when I am speaking. I will ask you to speak, and you will speak. Are we together? So, as commercial director, as the contracts manager, you had a connection to Abavata Group. Which connection you have admitted? You did not declare that connection the way you should have. And then you're eventually managing the contract. How do we know? Because that for me points to integrity issues. Because it's similar to me getting my company, one I have a connection to make sure I give it a job in an entity that I am running. That is problematic. And that time you were a commercial director, now you are the CEO. I am worried about what more could happen. Because if as commercial director, you could do what you did and you didn't even follow the law, declare your conflict of interest, these people are hired and you have a connection to them, you know, it's possible the connection could even be bigger, that you have shares. I don't know, because there is a connection and you don't declare this. I'm thinking, what more are you able to do as CEO? It worries me. It concerns me. Now, the other issue we need to establish, aside from the conflict of interest, which is very clear, Mr. Bagenda, the information we have is that there was no open bidding for this contract, for this procurement. Abavata was handpicked because apparently there was an emergency situation to deal with, PR and all of that, so direct procurement was done. What's your response to that?
The airline was not handling procurement. Procurement was being handled by our mother ministry, Minister of Works. So all our procurement was being done by PDU in the Ministry of Works. So I cannot recall whether it was direct procurement or competitive bidding because I was not part of the procurement at the ministry.
As CEO, you didn't think this is something you needed to interest yourself in because as CEO, you are the accounting officer. How do you say it was not my business to establish whether competitive bidding was done?
We were directly under the ministry. Procurement, finance, everything was being handled by the Minister of Works.
Now, who is supposed to pay for this service? And you are paying for the service.
The ministry was doing subvention, what do you call it? They were handling all our finances. We were not handling any finance.
At the time?
Yes.
What was your role there as accounting officer?
So was your role just to sign the contract? Because good enough, you have admitted you're the one who signed the contract, this is your signature. Yours was just to append your signature. Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not what I'm saying, sir. The procurement process was completed by the ministry. Recommendations were done that this company...
No, but you see, Mr. Bagenda, yes. You cannot in one breath say you don't know if procurement was done, and then now you're saying the procurement was done by the ministries. Please, what you don't know, stick to you don't know.
Let me repeat, sir. You asked, was the procurement done in accordance with the proper regulations and PDU? I said it was being done by the ministry. And after the procurement process was exhausted, the PDU, contracts committee, and everybody else involved, there was a recommendation document to which recommended that company, and that's the contract. So I reviewed the contract and appended my signature like everything else.
Mr. Chairman, I'm confused, and I can see my honorable sister Nase is almost about to cry. Because now we have a contracts committee which, you know, a patriotic Ugandan, definitely you're about to cry. So, Mr. Chairman, I'm confused. Maybe because I didn't go to a nursery school, I went through a madrasa. We are looking at two processes here. For the last 1 hour, there was a contracts committee in charge of this. Now the CEO says, it was done and finalized by the ministry. So can you please clarify what was the role of you as CEO and the contracts committee of Uganda Airlines in this particular matter? Because you're suggesting that it is a matter which was finalized by the ministry. And that's something, it's a new now perspective. I'm really confused, though I will not cry like my sister.
So what I said was...
And maybe, okay, first respond to that.
We did not have a full-fledged PDU. So all our procurement was being done on our behalf by the Ministry PDU. We could have had 1 or 2 representatives on the PDU at the ministry. So we were like part of the Ministry of Works. They were handling all our finances, all our procurement issues, everything else, because we were not yet fully established as a company. That's what I meant.
But I also don't agree with that of not being fully established as a company. You were CEO. Were you CEO of Air? You were CEO, you had a commercial director here, and by the admission of both of you, you had a discussion about Abavata, which she was vouching for. So how do you say, yes, the commercial director, Jennifer, came to me, told me about, Abavata, let's get them on board and so on. And then somehow, for you, your next role was just to sign a contract with Abavata. You were not involved anywhere at all. You didn't care how the procurement process was handled and so on. And yet, you and Jennifer had a discussion about Abavata before any of this happened.
I don't remember mentioning to you, Mr. Chairman, that I ever had a discussion with Jennifer about Abavata.
But she
says so, but I said I can't recall.
Okay, so for her, she says she had a discussion with you about Abavata. For you, you're saying you can't recall.
Mr. Chairman.
So who am I supposed to believe of the two of you? What do you mean it doesn't matter?
Mr. Chairman.
He has been very clear. He said he doesn't remember. So are you really?
Mr. Chairman.
You see why it matters? Because conflict of interest is not declared.
Conflict
and
of
then
interest?
here you are vouching for
No,
it,
Honorable.
and then he says he does not remember.
Honorable.
Mr.
Honorable
Chairman.
Mzali.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, my neighbor here, I think he's trying to play safe. The former CEO. He's trying to play safe. If you pick his statements, I don't remember. It is way far back. Those are his statements. The issue was discussed between the two. It is clear that they initiated the idea. It is clear that they are the user department. Now, to say that it was Minister of Works, is it Minister of Works that initiated the idea?
And Chair, this team should know that whatever they are referring to the Minister of Works, they are going to come. And they will deny. They have done so many times. And they are going to deny, and we will call you back here. Remember, you are on oath, and you're on record. So it is up to you to say, I don't remember, I don't know, but eventually, the works team is going to come here, including the minister.
Okay. We are going to have statements extracted from both Jennifer and Mr. Bagenda with our CID. We're going to hand you over to them so that we capture what you have told us. Of course, we have it on record, and you have said it under oath. And if it is a lie, that's an offense, as we made clear at the start. So I want to first pause this issue. At the end, we shall hand you over to them. But there's another issue that I wanted us to process. Regarding some of the documents we asked you for, Honorable Commissioner, you have perused that HR manual. We had asked Madam Jennifer, and the clerk tells me she communicated. We wanted your academic documents. Did you carry them?
I did, sir.
Let me have them.
Chair.
Yes, Honorable.
I had asked, maybe does that bring in my issue of the organogram?
I actually want to see how we pick it up. Bachelor's degree in social works and social administration.
Actually, I haven't picked it
Huh?
because they couldn't find it. I graduated, if you notice, the year. So when I went to Makerere, they couldn't find it. So they gave me some time to bring the transcript. Yeah.
You graduated in 1994.
Yes.
We are in 2022.
True.
And you're
I've been
saying
there.
that Makerere could not find, up to now,
Apparently they
your
cannot,
transcript.
No, they cannot find our for our year. There's been a lot of movement. So from what I was told was that they could not trace the file where our year transcripts were.
And,
But I can get
and
it.
you are comfortable, because it's 1994 we are talking about,
No, I'm
Madam
not comfortable.
Jennifer.
No, I'm not. And I've been there a few times, and they are still searching.
So since 1994, we are in 2022.
I had never picked it.
Those are 28 years later.
Yes.
They are still searching for your transcript.
I didn't look for it that far back, Honorable.
Did you actually do this course? Did you study this bachelor's degree, Madam?
Maybe you should.
You are on oath.
Yes, but you can confirm with Makerere.
No, because you see, you can't tell me that now, for me, I should go to Makerere and ask them for your transcript, and yet you're telling me,
No, I didn't say
for all
that
these
one.
28 years, you have been trying to get it from Makerere, and they say the file doesn't exist. I don't understand.
Honorable, I did not say that. I did not say that. For 28 years, I've been looking for my transcript.
Which year did you graduate?
Honorable, I graduated in 1994, and I did not say that I have been waiting for my transcript for 28 years. No, no, Honorable, I did not say that.
Okay,
I
so
did not.
let's imagine you didn't say that. You graduated in 1994, you don't have a transcript, and you're saying, Makerere says, according to you, they don't have the transcript. The file got lost. So what am I supposed to imagine?
No, I did not say that, sir. I said I have been to Makerere to find my transcript, but the file where all the transcript for those of us who haven't picked yet, they cannot trace it because they've moved faculties. So I've been given time to wait until they find it.
How much time did they give you?
Well, I've been there like 3 times already. So I keep calling and finding out, and I keep going there.
So
Madam,
when you're applying for this job, what do you present?
My certificate.
Huh?
Sir, I've been headhunted half my time.
And they never ask for your academic
I
qualifications?
present that. And the HR department verifies
These
with
are like
Makerere.
citizens. For us, they even ask for baptism certificates.
Wow.
Yes, baptism. You are like a citizen.
Honorable Chair.
Yes, Honorable Nancy.
Thank you and my colleagues. I want to ask Madam Jennifer, if you've been struggling to look for your transcript and all that from Makerere for all this year, what did you then use to apply for the other job, the Director Commercial at Uganda Airlines, and even as the banquet manager at Golden Tulip? What did you use?
Honorable, I was not a banquet manager at Golden Tulip, and I used my certificate, ma'am.
Did they need a certificate holder or they needed a degree holder?
No, I used my certificate for bachelor's degree.
But you see,
how can you have a certificate without a transcript? Because by the time you get a certificate, you should be having a transcript. The first one is the transcript. That is when you're going to pick a certificate from any institution of learning, you need to have a transcript, and that's when the registrar can give you a certificate. How comes yours, you have a certificate and you don't have a transcript?
By the time I graduated, you'd receive your certificate first. Then you go back to pick your transcript. Yes, sir. It is.
It's quite...
So...
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Honorable Muzari.
Chair, thank you so much. I think what we need to do over this is we ask Makerere University to recommend.
You see, there's work that I am not going to do. I have a lot of work on my table. Yeah? If somebody cannot produce the academic documents, they don't exist as far as I'm concerned. It cannot be my duty now to go to because she says she's been to Makerere a number of times, and they've told her the transcript is not there. Why should I now also begin to run back and forth to Makerere to try and find a transcript which the owner has failed to find? Surely, the COSASA chairperson should not be the one doing that. I have so much work on my table. Maybe... Yes, Honorable Joyce.
Mr. Chairman, Madam CEO is even confusing us the more. Because for me, what I know is a transcript, you can get it from the faculty where you study. And even if you've not yet got the certificate, you can still apply for testimonial, and you get it from from your faculty. And I get confused when the CEO is telling us she has the certificate, but she doesn't have the transcript. It is impossible.
The other document I don't see there is your UCE. Did you see it senior 4?
It's not there.
Where did you see it senior 4?
Kiabambi Girls School.
It's not there.
I'll present it tomorrow. I have a document, a letter which they wrote for me to UNEB because I misplaced it. So I'll bring it.
So what do you have the transcript or you have a letter? What do you have?
I have a letter and I'm processing because I lost my originals. When I was applying for the job as a commercial director, I had all my originals and I misplaced them. So I've applied. I did a police report and I've used that police report to get a fresh one.
You see, Madam Jennifer, truthfulness is important. You know, in one breath, I asked you for the transcript of UCE. You said you're going to bring it tomorrow. When I probe some more, you say I have a letter. So what do you have? You see, you're putting us in a very difficult position. We are struggling to believe anything you're telling us. Okay. You can't keep saying one thing and then change your statements and then, you know, there's no consistency at all.
The committee is not asking these questions in vain or to harass you, but we want to put our very good institution in the hands of able, organized, and serious characters. But when the person in charge and control of the directing mind and will of this institution is coming up with doubtable and questionable responses, then we are worried on behalf of Ugandans as an accountability committee. Kindly please assist us by being fair to this committee, be truthful, and we move on. We are taking long over very simple issues where you have other serious matters to hand as well. If you need a minute to compose yourself, it's in order. But I find it very hard to continue talking to a senior member of staff with all this. I went to school at Makerere around that time, slightly before Mr. Bisereko. Basically, at the time, there's a process where you're supposed to get your transcript. Now, 28 years down the road, you're saying the file is missing. All this can be reconstituted because there are records available, even for people who went to school during the colonial days.
Mr. Chairman.
Honorable again.
I wanted to say that in her statement, she says she graduated in 1994. And up to now, she has not got her transcripts. And then secondly, a certificate for Uganda Certificate of Education also got misplaced. Up to now, she has not got the certificate from the ministry. Now, this is a clear indicator, Mr. Chair, that the CEO completely telling us a deep lie, which is a criminal case. We cannot accept as a committee for you to come before us and tell us a lie. If you are a very serious woman responsible for your future and for the future of this country, it will not take you 28 years to get your transcript from the university if you are serious for life. And this is a complete indicator that your position that you've acquired, you have not got it in the right way. And that is where the query is. And that is where, Chair, we have to take this very seriously. Thank you.
Okay, Honorable Maneno, let me first speak those that haven't spoken yet. If you could grab one of the microphones.
Okay.
Please don't strangle Honorable Naomi.
Thank you so much, Chair, and our visitors from Uganda Airline, colleague members of Parliament. Chair, I'm really confused. I'm confused based on what is really happening. I'm not believing that it is really happening in this county, Uganda, where a CEO is not having a transcript, a CEO is not having a O-level certificate, and I also believe that she's not having A-level certificate as well, because that wasn't requested from her yet. And if we are to request that, which means she's not having it, why is she really putting us in this, and why is she not telling us the truth? As accountability committee, we cannot tolerate this. She should stop confusing us. If she's not having the qualifications, let her be open to us so that we know what to do next. Thank you so much.
Chair, just like another colleague in the committee, I'm now beginning to connect a few things as a result of this, Chair. One, the reason why the interviews were cancelled for the position of the CEO. Two, the reason why there was a suggestion for change of names and why it stopped along the way. So, Mr. Chair, I may regret my statement when we were actually trying to check why she did not complete the exercise of changing her names and why she could have stopped along the way. I begin to believe that, Mr. Chair, for a CEO leading a very serious organization like this one, earning sums and sums of monies, and you say for the last so many 28 years you're unable to pick a transcript from your name. Once you've paid it to your name, they only give you 6 days to come and pick your transcript. I have ever gone through that exercise. University that she's talking about is where I studied from. And we've gone through this exercise. Once the records are straight that you've ever been in that university, you cleared everything at that university, Chair, the transcript will be given to you in a very short period of not less than a month. I therefore want to conclude that, Chair, I think we are dealing with a different person, not the CEO of Uganda Airlines. I thank you.
You see, Uganda Airlines is a flagship project for our country. And a number of Ugandans were excited about it. But there has been too many challenges, you know. In the first year, you made a loss of 102 billion. In the second year, you made a loss of 164 billion. This year, you have made a loss of 232 billion. Now, of course, there are several challenges that have occurred along the way. But we are trying to connect the dots and be sure, do we have the right people running Uganda Airlines? We are struggling to answer that question in the affirmative. CEO gets hired without procedure being followed. People applied, 40 of them for interviews. The process was cut short. She gets hired. The qualifications, a degree, and then postgraduate training, whether it's postgraduate diploma, master's, and above. The CEO only has a bachelor's degree. Today we ask for the transcript for the bachelor's degree. It does not exist. There are issues of conflict of interest. You know, that you're vouching for companies where you're connected to, conflict of interest is not declared, and so on. I am bothered that a lot worse could happen to our airlines, which Ugandans had hope in. I am actually now wondering if the rest of the staff are qualified. Where is the director commercial, the current one?
Commercial.
Okay.
Yeah.
Acting Director Commercial, Regina Tebasima.
She had a meeting with one of the airlines. We are discussing an interline agreement, and she had to chair that meeting, sir.
Because
she didn't come today.
These documents you have submitted minimum qualification and experience for director commercial.
Chair, just procedure. I request, if through you, that either the head of HR or the ED takes us through the qualifications of the of that head commercial. They be on record taking us through what the qualifications that they have are. If you find it okay, Chair.
Chair. I don't know whether we are done with the CEO. And if in case we are done, just some information on two things, Chair. One, she's doing a master's. What did she submit to qualify for a master's? Secondly, we need also maybe to look at appointment letters from those experiences she talks about, where she worked from.
Okay.
Chair, you know, yesterday, I think I was watching NTV News, and Madam Jennifer had an interview with NTV, and she was like saying, it doesn't matter whether I'm qualified or not, whether I have MDD, whether I got this job on the moon, it doesn't matter. What matters are the skills that I have. And I felt so touched. And I said, where is this country going? So seeing what is happening here, and I get more shocked. But I wanted her to put it on record, Mr. Chair, through you, whether it doesn't matter for the CEO to have qualification. Because she said that matters skills. Whether I got this job on the moon, whether I got it, bragging around as if she's the owner of this country.
But I think for the
there is a member of parliament some years ago who was dismissed from parliament for not having the requisite academic qualifications. And this person said, but does it matter? I speak good English. I know how to represent my people. Of course, to him it did matter. But to the law, to the laid down procedures, it mattered. So yes, I saw Madam Jennifer speaking arrogantly, in my view, saying these things don't matter. But I dare say what she said doesn't matter.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman,
it doesn't matter that she doesn't care.
Mr. Chairman, I think
the laid down procedures are what is important. So I don't care whether she thinks I can run Uganda Airlines as CEO without the requisite qualifications. Even the ones she's talking about of a bachelor's degree, it is non-existent on record. So I don't care that she doesn't care. The record cares, and I think we want to stick to that. Colleagues, let's move. Let's not dwell so much on this issue. We have captured what we have captured, that we have on record. We shall take a decision. Of course, we'll need to look at, those appointment letters as well for these past positions. In your CV, some of the positions, I don't know if those were the job titles. We want to ascertain that.
Chair,
so Honorable Chimosho is suggesting...
Chair, there is also a need for us to know the reason of the first interdiction.
So she told us yesterday that she was fired, she was terminated because of poor performance. She said that yesterday.
But we need to find out, Honorable Chair, because it is very hard for us to believe her now, because her statements keeps on changing all the time.
That's okay. We'll interact some more with the board and all of that. Yes, Honorable Pius.
Honorable Chair, as the way I see things, I would also suggest that she presents her birth certificate. We might be shocked that she was born in 1980 and graduated in 1994. So let her also present to us her birth certificate.
Okay, I think that's fair, because now that these academic documents are not existing...
Chair, very brief.
We want to have a
Did she give us her interdiction letter?
Did you? Okay, you will present it. I have a copy myself, but
But I was not interdicted. I was terminated.
She was terminated, actually, not interdicted.
There are those two words. That
Termination is please go home, don't come back. Interdiction is okay, let's review, let's, processes and so on. Termination is we have fired you, go, don't return. Please avail to us a copy on record. I got a copy myself through my ways, but it will be good that you bring it to us on record. Okay, so I wanted us to establish the other members of staff, because we have been reviewing these documents that you have forwarded to us, and there are several other senior staff members that don't have the requisite qualifications, according to the documents you've given us. This is not just my words, yeah? I don't know whether it might not take long. Honorable Chimoshi was suggesting we ask the HR manager to read to us. Okay, so there is commercial, director commercial. Then there is director flight operation. Which is the other? Are these the two?
Yes. Mr. Chairman.
Okay, yes, Honorable.
Procedure. I think, personally, at first I thought this process was taking long, but as we review the other, what we call key issues of the Auditor General, this is the most important, in my opinion, because we'll be looking at losses, mismanagement. Let us, first of all, evaluate as a committee the caliber of the people in charge and control. So I think let us take time to go through the CVs and qualifications of the individual behind, because I think for the first time, Ms. Patrachi is saying the truth, that you see, doesn't matter how, in this country, people are just coming in and doing vurugu vurugu, so losses after. So I think we have gotten the opportunity of now looking at agencies and get to know, because most people are going, the competent people are going to Qatar, again, incompetent people who have failed exams, CEOs. So I think let us get time to look at this. Then we'll go to the other nitty-gritties of the what? You see the losses in billions, each and every agency. Maybe this is the problem.
Thank you. I agree, Honorable Sibambi. In fact, if you notice, that's why we have not yet even gone back to the Auditor General's report. I was deliberate because this is more important. It tells you why there are all those issues in the Auditor General's report being raised, the losses, the fraud, procedures not being followed. I think this is telling, because the company is run by people. So the people are the ones who are meant to do what is right, or who end up doing what is wrong, as we are seeing in the Auditor General's report. So let's ask the acting manager HR, Madam Nanono. Let me give you this so that you let us know. The Director Commercial, what the qualifications are, the required qualifications, and what the qualifications of the current holder of the position are.
Director Commercial, the minimum qualification and experience, a bachelor's degree in commerce, business administration, or closely related discipline, at least 7 years of experience in sales and marketing departments in a recognized setting, organization, airline commercial management experience with demonstrated competences in e-commerce, knowledge of digital marketing techniques and technology-based product distribution systems, sales channels, and setting up a call center, knowledge of airline pricing, revenue management, interline services, and IATA airline practices, able to manage multiple startup stations across the target airline network with ability to negotiate effectively at all levels, ability to coordinate multiple activities, including travel agency, GSA, tour operator, OTA relationships, office setup, establishing contracts, recruitment of staff, building up sales channels, and preparing for inaugural events, strong mentoring, coaching, and managerial capability with good communication and negotiation skills, high level of integrity and professionalism with a clean track record of performance.
Okay, so that's the minimum requirement. So the current holder of the position, what are their qualifications? That's Madam Regina who?
Regina Tebasima, the acting commercial director. Higher education background, July 2022 to date, Graduate College of London, ongoing. She's doing a bachelor's in business management, level 4 and 5.
She is doing?
20, because it's ongoing.
Okay.
Then 2022, Amadeus.
What's the highest qualification that she has as we speak?
She has different certificates in airline training.
Okay, let me have that back. So that's director commercial. The minimum qualification is a bachelor's degree in business administration or commerce or a close related discipline. The highest qualification is a certificate.
No, Chair, for
that she has.
For guidance purposes, formally what is on record is senior 6. Because those certificates you see, unless they are presented here, they could be workshop certificates. No, for a fact. And I challenge anyone to bring them here. What is formally on record is a senior 6.
Yeah, because I mean, we're perusing many of your CVs, and you included, and I guess it's your right. We had the 2 days training at Golden Tulip. We had the 3 days training that's important for continuous value addition. But it doesn't merit what we are talking about, yeah? So clearly, the highest qualification that this lady has, the acting director commercial, is a senior 6 certificate.
Chair, could we know how much she's getting from the airline against the certificate qualification?
Okay, we will establish that. But again, this is very telling. Because you see, if you don't have qualified people running Uganda Airlines, it is not going to thrive. There is not going to be progress. And that's our concern. These are documents you've given us. At least these ones, I did get them through my own means. These ones you have given us. Okay, let's look at another. This is Director Flight Operation. Please pass it on
Mr.
to
Chairman, procedure.
HR Manager.
I
Yes,
think
proceed.
the HR should confirm to this committee that, in her opinion as HR, is that member really qualified under what you have just read for the committee, for the record, as director, acting director.
You see,
I would also want to know whether there is a appraisal for these staff.
You appraise what? Penalty. How can you appraise the person who...
Yes, Madam HR. Microphone is off. Please draw it closer.
Then Director of Flight Operations, the minimum qualification and experience. The Director of Flight Operations shall be an active or retired senior pilot in command, holding or having held an airline transport pilot license, including instrument rating appropriate to Uganda Airlines type of operations, issued and validated by Uganda Civil Aviation Authority. At least 3 years experience as pilot in command in a commercial air transport of large aircrafts, management skills including selection, coaching, and counseling team members, evaluating performance, team building, administration, and operational planning, excellent communication skills, both written and verbal, including an ability to interact with all levels of the organization, computer literate and able to work independently to prepare reports to management, possess strong technical instructors and examiners background rules, acceptable to the Uganda Civil Aviation Authority, and possesses comprehensive knowledge of aviation regulations, requirements, and procedures.
Okay. The qualifications of the holder.
He has an airline transport pilot license, stroke ICAO Uganda,
Number TA263, Nigeria 4246. And that's what is in the minimum qualifications, an ATPL.
A what?
An airline transport pilot license. And then the experience of 3 years as pilot in command.
Okay, let me have that. Did we get all the CVs of all the senior management? Have they been forwarded?
HR, Chair, there was a certification by CA. It's there.
Okay, yeah.
Sure.
Who is speaking now? HR? Okay.
Yeah, Honorable Chair, I'm glad that I'm here. I can speak for myself. I'm the subject of the CV that has just been presented. I have an ATPL, Airline Transport Pilot's License. In flying, we have several licenses that qualify you to the duties that you undertake. You begin with a PPL, Private Pilot's License. That's if you choose to go to fly. And you can choose to go and fly at any stage of your passion. These days, of course, at the time I went, I was after senior 6, after Mwiri. I was in Mwiri, a sub house. And I went to flying school. After an interview, was selected by the Director of Civil Aviation at that time. They were where we have Impala House. That's where they were housed at that time, during our days. So when you go to flying school, you go through a PPL course, which is private pilot's license, which you should accomplish at about 50 hours of flying. You are tested. If you are able, you progress. If you're not, they terminate you, because flying is not by luck. You must be able to deliver the equipment safely. Otherwise, you ruin the equipment and also destroy lives of human beings. So the training is tight, and it has parameters, and you must comply. Remember, at our time, we went 10 Ugandans, and only 3 of us completed in short flying school. That's how bad it can be. So after PPL, and PPL is just a private pilot's license, for you to fly for leisure, not for reward, not for commercial. So after PPL, if you have scaled the bar, you are now strive for commercial pilot's license, which is the first commercial license that enables you fly commercially. Most of the co-pilots start with commercial pilot's license. Also, it is by law, a person shall not be rostered scheduled to fly commercial unless he possesses a commercial pilot's license. Furthermore, as she said, there must be instrument rating. You must be tested to be able to fly in instrument conditions. That is when the weather is marginal. It's raining, it's windy, it's at night. Worse still, one of the power equipments have closed. Maybe you have only one engine. You must be able to demonstrate that ability to fly that aeroplane in that condition. And you land, and then that's when you can get a job as a commercial pilot. you remain a co-pilot for most of the time, especially if you join an airline like Uganda Airlines, because our aeroplanes are all two-man crew or more. But if you're going to fly a caravan like those in Kajansi or in flying school, for that matter, commercial pilot license can do your career. That's it. But if you want to now upgrade and become a jet captain like I am, Bombardier, DC-10, Airbus, then you must get an ATPL, Airline Transport License. That's what graduates you to be able to command a big, which is a commercial aeroplane. And that's my level. I'm also a trainer. I train pilots, and I'm recognized by CAA, as it says. And my records are very clear in CAA. Anybody who wants to clarify can go to CAA, say we want to see the file for Captain Lukman. They will show you all the documents and where I am. So I train pilots, and I've also been a manager as director of flight operations before in other airlines, and also a flight safety officer. So I applied for this position because I felt I meet the requirements, and that's what was required at that time.
Okay, could you confirm the qualifications of the other, pilots, since you supervise them? Are all of them tick?
The
Qualifications of the pilots that we have.
Yeah, most of them have commercial licenses. Okay, all of them have commercial licenses. We will only get you into the airline if you have a minimum of a CPL-IR, commercial pilot's license, instrument rating. That's what we need.
Okay,
and that's
so
what you come out with from Soroti.
Okay, so we probably don't seem to have a very big issue with the technical people, the pilots. Our issue is with the administrators. Anyway, we will get to the bottom of this.
Because I'm an administrator also. Because I manage pilots. I'm an administrator. I'm the one who manages pilots. I train them. I get involved in hiring them, as he said. I interview them. And I make selection. I make decision. Even to fail you. If I find that you are going to be flying by luck, not by competence.
They are not attached.
For Mr. Ephraim Bagenda, I'm only seeing appointment letters. That was when? Today? We don't have it. Where has it gone? Yes, Honorable Mzali.
As you continue searching, maybe, I don't know whether in that list we have the aid to the CEO. We can also look at, the other time it was on appointment by the president. So this time we need to know if the appointment of the aid is by the board or still the president. And how much the aid is earning in this case, whether it's voluntary as it was before or is now on payroll.
Okay, that is a question to HR, okay?
Human resource.
I don't have a title for an aide. Maybe you're talking about her personal assistant, who is the executive assistant. She's an executive assistant, fully appointed and on payroll.
That's executive assistant to the CEO.
Yes.
Okay, colleagues, I want us to end here for today. There is a lot we need to ponder over. Let's stop here for today. But Director of Finance, maybe you'll speak to us next week. We are closing for today. What do you want to talk to us about, sir? I hope for you have the right qualifications, by the way.
Thank you, Chair and honorable members. I wanted to seek your indulgence to allow me to apologize for the word I used yesterday and get it off record by saying I'm very comfortable with the losses. I think I want to say that it was got out of context. I wanted to mean from the background I gave you and the story I mentioned based on the core objectives as to why the airline was set up by the government. In terms of the strategic core objectives of the airline, I wanted to give you assurance as members of parliament and Ugandans that we are still on course. But I want to mention that yes, operationally we have quite a number of things we have to work on and that we are working on. So the comfort I was talking about was at strategic level because some members of parliament raised concerns that the project is getting off. I want to assure you that we are still on course in terms of the core objective, but yes, operationally we have some areas that we are also aware of as management, and with the guidance of the board we are trying to work on them, and we appreciate the constructive guidance you gave yesterday and constructive criticism. So I want to retract the comfort in general and give assurance that at the core objective we are still on course, but operationally we have some issues that we have to address. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay.
I want to tell the Director of Finance.
Ron Pindi was most angry about that statement.
Yes, that you are lucky. Yesterday I tried to reach His Excellency on that matter. But now that you have apologized and I didn't get him yesterday, I leave it at that.
Thank you very much.
Okay, like I had said, I want to hand over Madam Jennifer and Mr. Bagenda to police because we must get to the bottom of these issues. Yeah, the many discrepancies, things that are not adding up. One thing is said here, a short while after that, another is said, documents, and all of that. We must get to the bottom of this. So let me ask Madam Jennifer and Mr. Bagenda to please stand and follow our police officers. Okay, let's end here for today. We are going to be with you next week. Oh, you thought we were done. We still need to deal with a number of issues. There's responses we require from you. You notice we have not exhausted many of the issues that were brought out by the Auditor General. We digressed a little, deliberately so, because our mandate is wider than what the Auditor General captures, because these are the things we capture through our own ways. Our interest is to see this entity functioning. the team from Talina mpapula.
Quick one. Already some members of your committee are complaining that they are getting threats since you started the investigations into the operations of Uganda Airlines. Have you personally, as an individual, as a chair, gotten that? And what has been your experience based on the previous issues that have been investigated under this committee?
Okay. Tunule wano Wendy. Okay. Luganda, right?
Yeah.
All right. So olunaku lwa leero tuzzeemu okusinkana abakulu mu Uganda Airlines okwekenneenya engeri gye batambuzaamu emirimu mu kampuni eno. Olunaku lw'eggulo twakizudde nti omukyala agikulira Jennifer Bamuturachi talina bisaanyizo biwera kuddukanya nga CEO kubanga ebisaanyizo ebyetaagisa degree esookerwako then ey'okubiri. Naye ye alina degree emu yokka. Naye ate leero tukizudde nti ne degree eyo emu gy'ayogerako erabika teriiyo kubanga tumusabye transcript n'ebyogera ku degree eyo tabirina. Agamba ya graduatinga 1994 naye emyaka 28 paka kati tagifunanga. Musimanya Makerere yamugamba nti ebiwandiiko byebyo byabula myaka 28 naye kati netwewuunya kati waba talina biwandiiko ebyo abadde akozesa biwandiiko ky'okufuna emirimu gino. So degree eyo kisobokera ddala okubanga nayo nga yo teriiyo kubanga ebiwandiiko tabirina. Naye agamba tabirina, simanya batabifunanga. Makerere bagamba byabula. Ekirala kye tuzudde, omukyalo ono yakyusa amannya ge. Yakyusa amannya okuva ku Jennifer Bamuturachi Musiime ne yeeyituuma Jennifer Arnold Lenkai. Era n'asayininga affidavit ne deed poll nga bwe tugiyita mu mateeka, era n'agiregisteringa ne URSB. Kati erinnya ne likyuka 2019 naye newankubadde erinnya lyakyuka ate takozesa linnya eryo epya kubanga bw'okyusa erinnya lyo kiba kitegeeza olina kukozesa linnya pya Jennifer Arnold Lenkai naye ate talikozesa erinnya eryo. So tugezaako kutegeera yalikyusa lwakigendererwa ki, waliwo bye yali agezaawo okukwasaganya ebitategeerekeka n'asala akyusa erinnya kubanga erinnya lyo lyakyuka. Naye mu kukyuka ate kaakano si lyakozesa ate ng'ebiwandiiko biraga nti erinnya lyakyuka. So awo nawo waliwo vulugu atategeerekeka. Ensonga endala gye tuzudde, omukyalo ono alina kampani gy'alinako akakwate oba alinamu n'emigabo. Kampani eno eyitibwa Abavata. Yali commercial director wa Uganda Airlines. Kampani eno n'agiwa omulimu ate nga kampani agirinako akakwate. N'agiwa omulimu era nga esasulibwa $54,000 sente za Uganda busoba mu buwumbi 2. Kampani eno agirinako akakwate atya yalinga asayininga contracts ku lwa kampani eno. Contracts ne companies endala eno kampani Abavata nga y'omu kwabo abagisayiningira ekitegeeza agirinako akakwate oba inamu emigabo nga partner oba ki. Naye ate kakati y'omuntu omu kati nga commercial director wa Uganda Airlines kampuni eyo ate n'agiwa omulimu. Ekyo kimenya amateeka. Ate kampuni eno okufuna omulimu guno teyayita mu mitendera gya procurement. Baginokolayo yo nga yo kye tuyita tewaliwo competitive bidding. Bagironda yo nga yo kwasaganya omulimu guno gwa buwumbi obusoba mu 2. N'emivuyo emirala gye tuzudde, abakulu abasinga bano abalala nabo tebalina biwandiiko biwera. Munnange obuzibu obuli mu Uganda Airlines bwekuusa ku bakozi bano abatwala Uganda Airlines. Tebalina bisaanyizo biwera, emivuyo egiri eyo, companies ebawa emirimu zibeera companies zaabwe. Kyovudde olaba Uganda Airlines buli mwaka ekola loss. Omwaka ogwasooka yakola loss ya buwumbi 102. Omwaka ogwaddako n'ekola loss ya buwumbi 164. Buno omwaka bwe twogerako loss ya buwumbi 232. Bwe tusigala nga tutambula bwe tuti nga abaddukanya Uganda Airlines tebalina bisaanyizo, bakola ebintu eby'ekiyaayeyaaya ebitategeerekeka. Uganda Airlines ejja sigala nga ekola loss ng'ani afiirwa Uganda kubanga sente Uganda Airlines ezigiddukanya sente za muwa omusolo. So tulina okutereeza ensonga zino. Uganda Airlines bweba yakutereera, bweba yakuddukanyizibwa obulungi ekola amagoba nga kampani etegerekeka, tulina okukwasaganya ensonga y'abakulembera Uganda Airlines.
Honorable, okusinziira ku bibuse ayina okuba nga ye baturaki oba ayina okuba nga ye Lenkai?
Ebiwandiiko bye tulina kubanga yabiregisteringa ne URSB era n'akakasa nti yateekako omukono, biraga erinnya yalikyusa. Asoose n'agamba nti bwe yamala okulikyusa eventually n'abisazaamu. Ne tumubuuza wabisazaamu otya? N'agamba yagamba lawyer bisazeemu. Tumubuuza kale lawyer bw'oba amugamba yakikola olina we wasayininga tewali. Ekitegeeza erinnya talikyusanga kulizzaayo ku Jennifer Bamuturaki. Ekitegeeza ono omukyala erinnya lye eryaddala okusinziira ku biwandiiko bye yawandiika n'asayininga n'aregisteringa mu URSB, erinnya lye ettuufu ye Jennifer Arnold Lenkai. Tetumanyi oba liri yalisuula ng'alina byagezaako okwewala. Omanyi abantu babeera eyo n'aba mu kampani eno biki oba nazaayo emisango oba biki ebitategeerekeka. Naye kati erinnya lye ettuufu eriri ku biwandiiko lirina kubeera Jennifer Lenkai Arnold. Era Jennifer Bamuturaki Musiime yalisuula. Nsonga lwaki tatubuulidde tebitegeerekeka. In fact kiteeberezebwa nti okukyusa amannya gano omanyi oli bw'aba agezaako okwewala either emisango mu kkooti abanamutwala mu kkooti oba ki bye bino bye bakola n'akyusa erinnya such that kati bw'otwala Jennifer Bamuturaki Musiime mu kkooti oba bw'ogezaako kumuvunaana nga ye avaayo ng'akulaga nti sinze Jennifer Bamuturaki Musiime, erinnya lyange yenze Jennifer Arnold Lenkai era bibino ebiwandiiko bye nasayininga nga nkyusa erinnya kwegamba munnaye enkola yaye bye tulaba. Okay, today as Kosase we continued to inquire into the affairs of Uganda Airlines, and we are discovering more disturbing, more shocking issues. Yesterday, the CEO of Uganda Airlines, Jennifer Bamuturaki, as she calls herself, we discovered that she does not have the requisite qualifications to be CEO, because the qualification is you must have a bachelor's degree and a postgraduate, training, another degree above, either a postgraduate diploma or a master's, PhD, whatever the case might be, but something more than just a bachelor's degree. But it turns out that even that bachelor's degree might not be existent, because today we asked her for documents speaking to that bachelor's degree. She doesn't have the transcript. She says she graduated in 1994, but she does not have the transcript. She says Makere told her it got lost. 1994 is when you graduated. That's 28 years later. So it is very possible this bachelor's degree does not exist, because she does not have the document speaking to it. We asked her, how have you been getting jobs? She says, I'd always been headhunted, which is what happened, because for this particular job, the recruitment process was cut short, and yet money was spent, 98 million shillings, and she was given the job. So that's one problem. The other issue we have discovered is that this lady actually, she changed her name. She signed a deed poll and registered it with URSB, changing her name from Jennifer Bamuturaki Musiime to Jennifer Arnold Lenkai. So according to that document, which was signed by herself because she admitted the document, her name now is Jennifer Arnold Lenkai. So we don't understand why she had to change the name. It's possible maybe she was hiding from something or whatever. People usually have things they're hiding away from. But now her real name, according to the document, is supposed to be Jennifer Arnold Lenkai. Of course, she said that eventually she reversed the name. We asked her, how did you reverse it? Clearly she did not, because she says she instructed the lawyer to do so. But then she didn't sign anywhere to now reverse it back to Jennifer Musiime Bamuturaki. So her real name, as we speak today, according to the documents, is Jennifer Arnold Lenkai. It's possible she did it to try and avoid litigation. That now, if tomorrow somebody takes Jennifer Bamuturaki Musiime to court over different issues, whether it be in Uganda Airlines or whatever the case might be, she can come out and say, well, that is not me. My name is Jennifer Arnold Lenkai. Here are the documents. So it is very shady things, that she did that we must get to the bottom of. The other issue is that there was conflict of interest. Madam Jennifer has got a connection to a company called Abavata. This is the company that was hired to run the event of the aircrafts being brought into the country. A lot of money was paid. And consequently, they were also given a contract to do PR for Uganda Airlines, branding and so on in different countries. And that contract sum was 540,000 US dollars, which is over 2 billion Uganda shillings. She, as commercial director and who was contracts manager, she literally is the one that got Abavata on board, and yet she had a connection, she has a connection to it, either as a partner or whatever the case might be, because there are other contracts we have seen where she signed on behalf of Abavata for other, with other companies, not necessarily Uganda Airlines. So when you sign on behalf of a company, that means either you are a partner or some kind of thing. So now you are signing on behalf of that company, and then she is the same person bringing that company on board for a contract worth over 2 billion shillings in Uganda Airlines. Mark you, this company, Abavata, to get that contract, there was no competitive bidding. So the procurement guidelines were flouted, they were handpicked. Why were they handpicked? Because the commercial director had an interest in that company. So that's why they handpicked it. So Uganda Airlines is not going to thrive if we continue to have all this confusion. People who are running it, they are not qualified, they are involved in shady deals and so on, because we've seen other top management officials who don't have the requisite qualifications. So little wonder Uganda Airlines is making losses year after year. Of course, losses can happen for different reasons. But in the first year, they made a loss of 102 billion. In the second year, a loss of 164 billion. This year, the loss is 32 billion. That's a lot of money. And it is possible all of this confusion is happening because the wrong people are running Uganda Airlines. So we must be able to address that issue if Uganda Airlines is to thrive and make good progress.
Chairman, two issues. One, some members are saying, as of yesterday, that started getting calls, intimidating them to back off from the investigations. Have you confirmed this? Have you lodged a complaint with the relevant authorities? What is your experience of the past investigations that you have done before? Secondly, who is this Jennifer Bamuturachi? Have you bothered to find out who she is exactly? Where does she come from?
Okay, so who Jennifer Bamuturachi is, or Jennifer Arnold Lenkai, we are still digging up. We'll get to the bottom of this. For a long time, people didn't know who Pinetti was. Eventually, they got to know who Pinetti was, the one behind Vinci Coffee deal. We shall get to know who this Jennifer person is eventually. Regarding threats, the job that we do is a difficult one. When you are exposing all of this rot, it is tough. There will be those who will want to hurt you, threats, and all of that, but we have got a job to do. For me, being the Christian I am, God protects me. Of course, even when you have police guarding you and all of that, we have had people who have been gunned down even when they had police protection and all of that. So I don't even know if that gets to be relevant. But I think most importantly is we have got a job to do, and we are not going to allow anyone to try and intimidate us. Yes, there are people who call and say, no, please go slow on this issue, don't dig deeper, abandon, and so on and so forth. All of those calls are hitting deaf ears. As far as Joel Ssenyonyi is concerned, we'll get to the bottom of this issue. We'll dig out everything that has got to be dug out.
Thank you so much.